All right, and we're recording too, so we are Gooch. Hello,
Well,
everybody. We are finally back. It's been weeks, probably a month. Honestly, it's probably been a month. Quarantine is wild.
time
Quarantine is
time
wild.
passes different in
It
in
does.
the teen
Mhm. Mhm.
with the Rona.
Yep. But I'm happy to say that it's been going though. I finished college. I'm
Hey,
done with
hey, I'll
college.
drink to that.
Hey, done with college. Done with college. Took my last final this past Monday. So today actually was my very first official day off. So like no work, no school, no nothing. Like it's great. It's great.
Hey, congratulations.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
congratulations.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
dude, nice job. Now we got 2 degrees on the podcast. In fact, everybody that's a regular on this podcast now has a degree.
Correct.
Yeah, Elliot
That is
graduated
correct.
school as well.
Mhm. Mhm. So
So thank you guys for turning into the shit show once again. As you may have guessed from, I
the
forgot to
title, I did change the title.
I forgot to post on Instagram about this.
Oh, we'll do it
I'm
right
gonna have to
now.
do that.
You
Well,
just do it
as
right
you
now.
may
Do it
have
right
guessed
now.
from our intro, we're gonna be talking tonight about the possibly the most important sitcom, one of the most important sitcoms of the 21st century. You,
21st century and our generation, honestly.
if so, the generation, if you were probably 25 to, I'd say 19, 25 to 20 right now. This show is probably the one of the most important sitcoms and television shows in your
See, how do you add
development.
a link?
And
I don't know. Like, how
as
do
you
you
guessed,
ever add a link?
it's Drake and Josh.
Yes.
Yes. You want me to show you how to add a link?
No, I think I might have a way to add a link, but we'll
So I don't know
see.
how high the color sat is on if you're viewing this, but
It's pretty blue.
we
It's
do.
pretty blue. We do
Yeah,
have a green. Green is above me technically, and then blue's over there. But it seems like that the blue's kind of just like overtaking the the blue's just overtaking it. So
yeah.
which is fine.
But
Which is
you
fine.
can still see it on the faces, so that's all good.
Hmm.
But yeah, we were hanging out earlier today, celebrating Peyton's graduation, chilling,
Well,
and
it was last night. It was last
was
night.
it last
It
night?
was last night. Yeah, yeah. Because basically, well, we didn't start watching it last night. What happened was, so I was, we were talking about because you were talking about Community, the show Community, and it was really I thought, and we watched an episode, and I thought it was interesting, and then I like brought up, hey, it's kind of weird how. Uh, it's kind of weird how people meme about Drake and Josh. Like it's a reoccurring meme, not as often as SpongeBob, but it is a reoccurring meme every once in a while on social media, especially with our generation, and for good reason. All the jokes are really good and everything. But the weird thing about it is that when people talk about their favorite shows, they don't like our favorite sitcoms or best sitcoms. They never bring up Drake and Josh. And then I brought up how Nickelodeon's like horrible at distributing their products, which we can talk about. I can rant about that for a bit later on in the podcast. Um, but he said that was on Hulu, and I had no idea. And so we just turned it on this morning, and it's been on all day. We've just been watching it all day, and I figured, you know what? Let's talk about Drake and Josh because it's on people don't actually don't talk about how good of a TV show it is. Even though everyone, when you bring up Drake and Josh, they always say like, oh my goodness, it's amazing. It really is a great show, but people don't, people don't praise it as much as they should. Um, I don't know. People bring up Friends more than they do Drake and Josh, and to me that's a problem. So you good?
Yeah.
I think you have the headset on backwards because it's picking up my audio pretty easily. I can tell
I
when
mean,
I'm
it's
talking.
picking mine up too, just
Well,
fine.
no, no, no. Like when I speak, it's picking up my voice on your mic.
Oh, that's okay.
So like maybe flip it.
I think I
Possibly.
will. So, yeah, basically just talking about like how um it was not like when people talk about the great comedies, um, there's like always a handful of comedies that come up, no matter uh, what you're talking about, or no
Sup,
matter who's talking
Toki?
about it. You're always have there's always like great
I am
comedies that come up.
educated now, quote
So
unquote educated.
educated, yeah. Uh, there, people talk about Seinfeld, The Office. Sometimes they'll throw Cheers and Frasier in there, Abbott and Costello, uh, fucking Friends. People for whatever reason throw Friends in like the list of great comedies, and like Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But I've noticed like what we were talking basically saying is that like not a lot of people throw Drake and Josh in there, but I think despite it being a show primarily like targeted at like pre like teenagers and well preteens and teenagers, like it still held up as from a like objective comedy standpoint, you know?
I completely agree. Well, it's funny because like you brought up when we were watching one of the episodes today, you were like, it's weird. Not many shows that I watch there are shows that you watch as a kid today, but like we watched like we just picked a random episode and we were like, you were laughing and I was laughing the entire time. Like we just picked a random episode and it was just like the jokes still stand up today in every single episode. Like even the gimmicky jokes where like Drake will just grab a random girl and and just make out with her. Like and the girl doesn't question it. The girl just accepts it. Like the girl just not only accepts it, she enjoys it. Like it,
I
it's
mean, it's like a character type, you know. It's like
well
a cliche character type. Not cliche, but like
yeah, but it's also like a running gag in the show, and it just works, and it's
yeah,
something that's still funny to this day. That like it's so stupid, like nobody can actually do that.
that never you can't do that in real life.
You can't do that in real life. Even back then, like you couldn't do that in real life. Nobody did that in real life. But like it's just a running gag that just works, and they never stopped it. Cause like we watched episodes from the first season, and we watched like some of the like seasons. We watched even like what some of the final episodes of the series, and like yeah, you just like Josh makes out with Mindy, and then like Drake sees, turns to the girl next to him, and just grabs her and makes out with her, and the girl just is like, "Hi." Like
It's like
after
yeah,
that.
that actually happens.
The- here, wait a second. Do you think you
Basic,
can
well,
embed the link? I don't know what to do to do that.
well,
I don't know
also
how to do
like
that.
part of the thing. Oh, yours has that's weird. Interesting. Uh, did you copy it to your clipboard?
Did I? No.
Long story short,
Here.
what we were talking about earlier is like why we the reason we were watching episodes from like across the
There.
series was that uh, the test of like a true comedy, like one of the tests for does a comedy still hold up is can you switch to a random episode, not knowing like the characters, not knowing the inside jokes of the show, not knowing like the background or anything like that, and still find it funny. Um, I mean, obviously, you and I both watched it a ton when we were younger, so
Yeah.
that's not really a fair test, but it was as close as you can come to that type of a test, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, we just like put on some random episode and it's still great. Um,
Yeah, that's what I enjoyed a lot about rewatching it, because there were parts in some of the episodes that even I was like I distinctly don't remember like I remember this episode, but I was like I don't remember this whole like part of the show. Like I don't remember this whole part, like the episode where they break into the guy's MTV party, which is a weird like shout out that they put on a Nickelodeon show. Like they just put on. They just did that. Like they just were like, oh yeah, here's you know,
Well, I mean, Nickelodeon's always had a good a relationship with MTV. I mean, MTV has like always had like a place at like the Kids Choice Awards and
I guess
shit
that
like
is
that.
true. I guess that is true. It just was a weird like if you think about the shout out that it was, you know.
Uh, and like yeah, because they didn't like fake make like a oh this is XTV or this
Yeah,
is
like
like
they do with so many other things. Like
yeah they
they make
clear
memes.
references yeah.
Yeah, they don't really make like they don't make direct references. They always do like indirect references. But that one was just like it's just like MTV. Like what? Oh, okay. You're just name dropping MTV right here. Like okay. Um, but anyway, like he breaks in. They break into the party by by pulling by beating up some of the actors who are performing at this thing and steal their clothes and then break into the party.
Yeah, you got
Like,
these like knockoff Star Wars guys that are supposed to be like performing a lightsaber fight at the party, and they're like, "Oh well, we
well,
gotta
they
get
pull the
in."
Star Wars. They
Yeah,
pull in how they get into the Death Star. They beat up the guards, steal their clothes and everything, and then go through. It's
which
like
I have trouble visualize imagining Drake and Josh actually beating up two grown men like that. I
oh
don't really
yeah.
think that
Well,
I don't think
especially
they're
ones like
capable of
okay,
it.
okay, especially ones that like okay, yes, I know that like choreography is different from actual fighting, but like they have choreography with of for like
They got
fighting with
the
lightsabers.
stunt training.
Yeah, they have stunt training, so like I don't think Drake and Josh could have taken him
But
on.
it's funny
Realistically.
though. It's
It is
funny.
funny. It is funny. So, um
So why do you think it is that like when like one of the things we had talked about is like the age disparity and that like to some degree the age disparity being that whenever I talk to someone in my age group about like great comedies, there are comedies that are brought up, and when you talk to someone that's older, most of those same comedies are brought up, but Drake and Josh never is, obviously, if you're older. And if you're younger, a lot of times, like, you still don't bring it up because, like, it's kind of, I don't say forgotten about, but, like, you remind people about it, and they're like, oh shit, I loved that. That was so great. Like, oh, yeah, they got locked in that treehouse that one time. And there's, like, memes from it and stuff, which keeps it
yeah, well
alive.
there's
But,
always
like,
I think the memes are the things that are keeping it alive. I think the biggest problem that Drake and Josh has with staying relevant is that its relevance comes from the references based upon memes and like like it's a really hard place when like Nickelodeon hasn't like redistributed the show. Like they just haven't. Like I was talking to you about earlier. Like even when you watch it on Hulu, right? One, they don't have all the episodes on there. Like they only have like what was it, two or three
there's two
episodes?
episodes from season one.
There was two episodes from season one, and what it was
I
like
mean, uh,
10 episodes.
it's like, yeah, I mean, no first run show has only two episodes. That's just not a thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like even on Hulu, one, they don't have all the episodes on Hulu, and two, it's still the original format of 4:3 ratio, which isn't like a problem, but it's just kind of weird when you compare it to a show like Seinfeld where it has a full screen version because when you film a TV show like they had the widescreen cameras and that's what they used to film. They just cut it off um, because that was what the original format was
Yeah,
for television. So like obviously I would assume that like Drake and Josh, especially it being filmed years after you know Seinfeld was, that they would have a widescreen version. Yet when you watch it on Hulu, it's still the original 4:3 ratio, and it's like, why is that? Like, they obviously haven't reproduced the show. They haven't like re they haven't re-released the show probably since its initial release.
Yeah. I
Like
mean,
they've shown reruns, but like reruns aren't the same as like re-releasing a box set or something. Like, and I was telling you that try finding a box set, like a massively produced box set of Drake and Josh. Like you can't. I mean, like I'm sure you could, and I'm sure it would be extremely expensive. But also, like you aren't like you know what, I'm gonna Google this right now. I'm gonna Google search um, Drake and Josh on Blu-ray and see if that actually exists or not. Because I don't think it does, which says a lot because a lot of things have a Blu-ray version of it. Like you can find Blu-ray versions of SpongeBob.
no, I mean the counter argument to that is like you're watching a comedy from the early 2000s. Who gives a fuck if it's on Blu-ray? Like that small amount of picture quality you're going to get from it being on Blu-ray doesn't affect the show at all. But like you're saying before, like Blu-ray, a re-release on Blu-ray is a really easy way for a company to make money because like everyone bought, so many people bought Blu-ray players for basically no reason, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay,
And it's like re-releasing something is really easy to like milk the cash out of it.
yeah,
And season one had 6 episodes, but
okay.
only two are available.
So just as an idea of them not so there is no Blu-ray, there is no official Blu-ray release. There are DVD releases, but it's only by season. There is no there is no like all of them combined. Um, so you can only find each season. And not only that, but like on Amazon, it costs for season one costs $55. So
$55 for six
episodes.
25-minute episode, 23-minute episodes.
Actually, you know what's weird? This box set says 4 Drake and Josh episodes. It doesn't even say 6. So like I think this just is like proving my point that like
Well, maybe the reason it's so expensive is because they didn't really release a lot of them on DVD. Like there wasn't a lot of things of it on DVD. You know what I mean?
well, okay, my thing is though that like they released a lot of SpongeBob. Like
Yeah.
anything when it comes to Nickelodeon and releasing stuff, they're like there basically isn't an argument because like they've released SpongeBob a million times. They still produce SpongeBob to this day. They still like re-release the show every once in a while. The show has a Blu-ray version. It's on Amazon Prime Video, which is that's the only thing it's on. Because even with SpongeBob, they don't even have it on like streaming services. You know, they don't
Hmm.
even have SpongeBob on streaming services.
I didn't know that.
The only thing you can find it on is Amazon Prime Video. I'm pretty sure it might be on Hulu. I guess I haven't looked, but I know it's definitely not on Netflix. But it's just crazy, like how successful Nickelodeon is and how successful their shows are, and to think that like they could be more successful if they just release their products like normal. Like they're not it's like they're not even doing what like normal like people they're not even doing what normal companies do for it, because like I can understand not re-releasing it on Blu-ray. I'm not asking for that. Like why was there never a box set release of all the seasons?
Yeah, because I mean, Avatar had like box DVDs after on top of DVDs like released.
Oh,
Like, oh, you could get
you Avatar: The Last Airbender.
the first half of season one, the second half of season one, all of season one, first half of season two,
Mhm.
second half of season two, all of season two, so on. Like, oh,
And
the
now they
whole
have
fucking collection,
and now
obviously.
Avatar has the box set that you can get on either like DVD or Blu-ray, as and then Legend of Korra also has a box set, regular and Blu-ray, as well as there being an option to get both of them combined, regular or
I
Blu-ray.
don't know who would do that, but yeah,
Neither do I. But like
if
I'm
you're
just saying, like if you literally wanted both series together combined, you can do that.
if you're gonna buy
But
The
they're
Legend of
only
Korra on DVD, you might want to like reevaluate some like
yeah,
your
yeah.
worldview or like how you value how the value of money like
Yeah, seriously.
but
It's it's really to me it's really sad, especially when I started rewatching it cuz like it really is such a good show. Like it really is a good show. If you have Hulu, if you have access to Hulu, turn it on. Like literally put
Hulu
it on. And
comes with your Spotify student account.
like Hulu, which I this is actually an interesting conversation. Hulu doesn't do that much advertisement. If they were to advertise that they have Drake and Josh on their thing, I'm sure on their platform, I'm sure they would pop like
Yeah,
Hulu
you know,
would pop off.
You're right, because like whenever I see commercials for Hulu, either on Hulu or like at work, we have like big screen TVs playing,
Hmm.
and like whenever I see advertisements for Hulu, it's like, oh, we
It's
got
Julia.
a shout out to my fam Jules. Uh,
Oh my
Shout out
god.
to Sponge Boobs on Instagram. So we got fucking what was I saying? Anytime I see an ad for Hulu, they're pushing the original series, obviously. Sometimes they'll advertise that they have Seinfeld, and what I mean, they push a lot of kids stuff on their advertisements, which makes sense because I mean, Hulu does have a lot more. I feel like kids content than Netflix does. Um, but I mean, I don't have kids, so I don't really like pay that close attention to that. Uh, but I mean, Hulu Hulu has a lot of anime that they don't really plug either, and they have a lot of like sitcoms that they don't plug.
Yeah. Like I think
Which,
the only thing that I've noticed that they really advertise outside of their original content is Seinfeld.
yeah,
Which is like for good reason. Like they're the only ones that actually have it, so it's like you, they have it. Like they advertise it for good reason. But like, bro, fucking like advertise Drake and Josh and you'll blow up. Like just do it. Like I mean, I know who's
every
already big, but like
every person that I have either told them that Drake and Josh was on Hulu, or like was with me when I was told that it was on Hulu, or like when my sister found out that it was on Hulu, has been everyone is always gets excited. Like they had the same
well
reaction that you had
they get
whenever I
yeah
told you about it.
well and
Cause
so many people don't know that it's on like Hulu.
yeah, and
Like
cause
why
like
doesn't even like even when you're on Hulu, like even in the browsing section, you would think that it would pop up
you would think they'd like that you work their algorithms so it fucking like pops up in
just
like
based on age
in
range.
comedies, and they would want it to pop up like just comedies in general. They'd want it to pop up for like if they could tell by what you watch that you are probably in the 18 to 25 demographic. They would
Mhm.
should funnel it to you. And if I mean, I guess if you're watching Hulu Kids, you'd want them. That'd probably be a good place to funnel it as well. But do you think some of the jokes in it like would still play for teenagers today? Like, I mean, obviously the show still holds up. It's not like, oh, this was a kids show that you and I watched when we were kids. It was fun when we were kids. It's not funny now that we're grown up.
Well,
But like, do you think the jokes would still play to actual kids today? Because some of it is kind of like, oh, well, Drake and Josh don't have a cell phone or a smartphone. If like, I'm just thinking like, how many of the situations are they in that are like could be solved by like
okay.
actual modern technology?
The
You know what I
same
mean?
argument can be said about like Seinfeld. And the
Yeah,
comedy still plays up. Like
but
you don't need to worry like
yeah,
in Seinfeld like they don't have cell phones at all. Like Drake and Josh they do have cell phones, but like in Seinfeld they don't have cell phones at all. So like they're always meeting in person. They're meeting in person more than they're meeting in person more than like you would nowadays. They
well,
have a meetup spot, which is irrelevant nowadays. Like you don't need a meetup spot because you just make a call and then be like, okay, where do you want to hang out? Instead of just having it designated like, hey, like where are we hanging out? Oh, the coffee shop. You know what I mean? Like that's just a thing. That was a thing back in the or late I mean
in the '90s.
pre 21st century. Um, right? Now it's not. There is no like meetup spots. But like that doesn't change the fact that like it still transitions today. Like in my opinion, like it's something that you can overlook with the comedy. With the comedy, like you can overlook that.
I mean, uh, screwing yourself into a treehouse. I feel like is a would be pretty funny no matter like what age you were at.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
at the same time, like if that were to happen today, like wouldn't Josh have his like cell phone in his pocket and he could like call his mom to be like, hey, come get a like, hey, Megan
I
unplugged
mean,
the
you
the
could have
drill,
the you could
but
have
like,
you could have the I mean like you could have the argument be that like he left his cell phone
yeah, I mean, I,
out of the thing.
I suppose that that argument is like valid even when the show came out because like didn't Drake and Josh have phones by
Yeah,
that point? Like,
they
so
have cell phones
they don't
in the
have them in
show.
every season. They have them in some of the seasons.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
like not the
Especially
first
well,
one.
and that was season 4, so they definitely
Yeah,
had cell phones, just not smartphones. But that
yeah,
doesn't change the difference that they had cell phones.
yeah.
I just feel like that is just like if they had a cell phone, they would have used it. I
That's
feel like
true.
you
Yeah.
don't need a reason why aren't they using their cell
And also, I
phones.
guess like to some degree they are like high schoolers, so maybe the argument could be like, oh, well, they don't have their even in today, not every high schooler has a cell phone. You know?
Oh yeah, yeah. So that's my take on that. Is that I still think the comedy would transition to even to like younger audiences. So despite the situations being like different, I still think it would transition. So and here's the other thing is like you also like why predict that like why assume that the audience can't understand the comedy without giving them an opportunity to understand the comedy. Like you gotta at least give them the opportunity to understand it before you know what I mean? Like because like just assuming they wouldn't understand it is like wait no because they could understand it. You gotta give them the
Oh,
opportunity.
I'm not saying that Hulu is assuming they will understand it. I'm just like just asking like,
Mm.
do you think it would still like work?
Oh, I 100% do think it would work. Um, personally.
Do you think the problem with Hulu and by extension Nickelodeon is like they really don't understand their audience? Like they don't realize how popular this show was, or they're just like, oh yeah, that was like
Um,
a teenage like 12 to like 17-year old
well,
comedy that was a thing. You know what
so
I mean?
a couple months ago, I would have agreed with at least I would have agreed with both, but pre what's happening with the Lizzie McGuire reboot thing that they're doing, um, basically Disney Plus was making a Lizzie McGuire TV show again with with Hilary Duff because she came out and said I want to do this, like I want to do it. She was the one that pitched the idea of doing the show again,
I
right?
mean, in all fairness, she didn't do a ton after the show.
Yeah,
But
I
I mean,
mean like
like,
she's not that type. She's one of the like humble like
yeah, I mean, she
just
didn't like, turn into like Lindsay Lohan did or anything. Like,
yeah
I
yeah
got,
she was a
I mean, she's
very
cool, but like,
Hilary Duff was a I think a more humble like person.
yeah, no,
Um,
I'm not
yeah.
commenting on her personality. I'm
Oh
just
yeah,
saying like
yeah,
her
yeah.
career wasn't like,
Oh, it didn't
it
pop
wasn't,
off.
yeah, it wasn't like this was the springboard for her career. It's like, oh
No, no,
yeah,
no.
that happened.
Yeah, it
You're
was
still around.
basically.
That's cool, fine.
Mhm. So basically, she pitched the idea of it, and everyone was like enjoying it. Or ever, they were Disney was all for it, and they were gonna make it one of the Disney Plus or original television shows. Um, well, during like the writing process and after like doing like 2 episodes, the Disney producers were like, "This is too like this is too mature. Like we need this for kids." And Lizzie McGuire, or I said Lizzie McGuire, Hilary Duff was like that's the audience now. Like the audience that watched the show like when they were kids are now adults now. Like and I'm an adult now. So I like adult humor only makes sense. It being a mature show only makes sense. So she fought with them, and then what happened was, so like I don't know where it is, where the show is being in its process right now, but she was like, all right, well, because Disney and Hulu have a thing together, she was like, okay, well, if I'm not allowed to put my show on Disney Plus, if my show can't be on, if it has to be like censored basically to be on Disney Plus, I don't want that. I want a mature show for the audience that I want it for. So put it on Hulu. And I think that's what they were going for.
Hmm.
So
So
like
it was a reboot. Like, where she's still gonna play the same character and still be centered on her
Yeah.
for as a grown up, as
Yes.
like a
In her
late
30s.
30s
Yeah.
mom.
Mom or single or whatever,
Okay.
whatever. It was good. That's what it was going to be
Not
based
like
upon.
they did with Boy Meets World, where it's like
Don't
his daughter
even
now.
talk about
I'm not saying
does.
it's good. I'm just saying like that's a they rebooted that to be like rehashed it or whatever whatever
Girl Meets
re
World.
whatever re adjective you want to use.
Yeah.
But like they did that also to appeal to like the same demographic that the original show appealed to, just 10 years later, 20,
Yeah.
15 years later.
However many years
Yeah.
later. Talk about a great TV show, though. Boy Meets World. That's a good TV show
See,
that I want to rewatch.
I thought it, like what I watched of that I thought was funny and like decent, like solid, but I never like watched it like cover to cover or anything like
So,
that, you know.
so this is how I describe it. The first, I don't know, it might have been first season or two seasons. Basically, the seasons where he's in middle school are kind of your basic, like, really, like, basic kids sitcom TV show. Nothing out of the ordinary, kind of basic humor, it doesn't really meet up to today for the first couple like middle school seasons, or all the kids are in middle school. It's when they get to high school that the show gets a lot better. um from what I still don't think the humor is, I think the humor is probably like better. It is more mature when they get to high school, but it's the storylines that get really good and the characters that get really good. Because the focus on like the life dramas that they do are actually a lot like they're real. Like they don't, like, I don't know if you've watched how much of the show you watch, but like
I've watched a mixture of like the newer, like the later seasons and the earlier
because they go
ones.
all the way through college, and even like after some of the characters get married, like after college, like the show is it's a long show actually.
It's like dude, it's Days of Our Lives, dude. It just never fucking ends, dude.
Yeah, I guess. But like the show goes on a long time, and I personally love it. I really like both the high school and college, like those seasons. I personally love, and I love that back when I was in high school. I'm curious on how I would enjoy the college episodes now. Um, you know, having gone through college, because the last time I watched the show was, yeah, my senior year of high school, because it was on at the same time, like right after I got home from track and everything. It was just
Mm.
on TV, so I just would watch it. That was the last time I watched a show, and that's a show that doesn't, you know, where's that? Like I'm wondering, if that's on Disney Plus, I'll be very happy because I would want to watch that again. If they have all the seasons on there, I would heavily enjoy rewatching that. But all right, enough about that. Back to Drake and Josh. um, you kept on memeing about how like how extreme the show gets compared to the
Yes.
first show. You kept on like memeing like
I mean, I'm not the first person to do this. I mean, I saw a meme, and that's what made me
oh
think about it.
really?
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that what
yeah.
it was?
They're
Oh, okay.
that quote is that I kept saying is from a meme, and it's
Oh, I
literally
hadn't
like
seen that meme.
season one. Drake helps Josh with a girl he has a crush on. Season four. Drake and Josh accidentally sell an orangutan to a man who eats orangutans. And it's like, dude, imagine like season 10, like Drake and Josh have to like kill Satan. Like, just like imagine how like fucking batshit crazy that could have gotten.
I guess you're
And
right.
I'm
Yeah.
just gonna say this now, like what everyone wanted, Drake and Josh college years. What we got, iCarly. Just and not saying our iCarly was bad, but like Drake and Josh the college years would have been like that would have been great.
It definitely would have been a lot. I think it would have been better. I think it would have popped off more. Um, I'm
Still could.
I'm
That's a remake I would endorse. I would
I
love to
wouldn't
see.
do college though. Like I would just like have it be like how old they
It's
are
just
now.
it just picks up now. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what
Drake and Mindy are recently divorced, or Josh and Mindy are recently divorced.
Yeah, Josh and Mindy are recently
Drake has his
divorced.
band.
Drake is just a
Washed up guitar player.
no, well, you could have washed up guitar player or just a bachelor. Oh, well, no, I guess if he's a washed up guitar, if he a washed up guitar artist, right? And they have to like move in with each other.
Wait a
There's your
second. That's kind of
premise.
like that's pretty much what Two and a Half Men is. Kind of not
Oh
the same, but
shit.
it's kind of is like that.
Oh shit. But like it's completely different types of humor though.
Yeah,
You know,
Two and a Half Men is just one is one has a lot of humor and one just really doesn't have any humor.
I guess you're right.
Two and a Half Men is not funny.
It's all right. It's all right. It's better than Friends. It's better than Friends. Okay.
I mean, dude, fucking the little paper inside of a fortune cookie has more comedic value than Friends, dog.
Yeah, because at least that has one joke. Did you know? Americans made the fortune cookie, not the Chinese. At least there's
Yeah.
that joke out of it. At least there's one joke that you can always get out of a fortune cookie. You can't get any jokes out of Friends.
You'd be hard pressed to find yourself laughing in Friends.
I just want to trash I just want to trash Friends for a second here. I'll never forget one of the first episodes I watched of Friends. Right, it was at Kyle's house, and it was just on TV when I went over to his house, and the episode, like, they come in, like, he comes in, like, the guy comes in and is like, the one roommate comes in and is like, "Did you use my toothbrush?" And the other roommate goes, "Oh yeah, 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 I used it." And they just start having an argument about how like that's like you shouldn't do that, just like common thing, like which yeah, that's gross, right? But like the one roommate's argument was that like, oh well, we use the same like bar of soap. It's like, and the guy goes, "Yeah, it's soap, it's clean." But like that was the joke that they were making it out like that, like this was the scene.
I've seen this scene.
Oh, you have? Okay. Like, and like Kyle was like laughing, and I was like,
I mean, I will admit there. I mean, like
I was like,
it's self
this isn't.
cleaning. I mean, it's soap. It's self cleaning. That's like the quote. I'm pretty sure. Like
Yeah,
to
yeah,
me,
yeah.
that's a funny line, but like the premise of that scene as a whole is still not that funny.
Well, the
And
problem
if
the problem is that like the punchline is you have a good punchline, but the build up to it is based upon the roommate using the other roommate's toothbrush, which is just wrong. Like you just shouldn't do that. Like
yeah, it's also like very like no one really actually does that, and like it's
yeah,
hard
yeah,
for me to
yeah.
like
Like who does that?
conceive a goofy enough character that would actually do that.
People use their finger before they use somebody else's toothbrush.
But yeah,
Kramer wouldn't do that.
yeah, no,
Like, come on, like if Kramer wouldn't do it, you got the wrong type of like it's not the humor is not going to be relatable. When Kramer isn't a relatable character, right?
for most people.
I know he is for you. I Yes, he is for you 100%. But like for a majority of people, he's not a relatable character, right? He's a meme character basically, right? Um most people can't relate to him. But that's because he's the most abnormal out of the whole group,
I mean,
right?
he's like the most wild card out of that whole thing, and all the zany like situations that are in Seinfeld are like kind of predicated on some truth, like
Yeah,
some like reality that like is then built upon to get to a really ridiculous conclusion.
yeah, yeah. And so like Kramer has extremes, but people could possibly do.
Yeah,
Right, right.
yeah.
So if Kramer isn't reusing somebody else's toothbrush and never did throughout the 9 seasons of Seinfeld, what makes you think that like anybody would?
Yeah.
Or like whether anybody would or not, or like why that would be placed as a joke. Like, I don't know. It just baffles me that like
I mean, it's fun. I mean, it's a little bit funny, but
I
it's
don't
not a
know.
lot of bit funny. And like if that's like one of the more notable scenes in your show, and it is,
Is it?
yeah, a lot of
That
people.
was the very first that was the very first that was the
That's
very
that's
first
like
episode I watched.
from what my understanding, that's one of the more iconic scenes in the show. Like a lot of people know that one. They like reference that shit.
Are you kidding
Yeah, I've
me?
seen the it soap itself cleaning line so many times, bro. Like,
The only reason why
and
I
if
know it is
that's
because that was the very first episode I watched and it was with Kyle. So like
well,
I like I remember
if
the situation more than like the the scene, obviously because I couldn't even like speak the scene too much.
I mean, yeah, it's just if that's your best,
But if that's one of the
if
best
that's
like
yeah,
scenes, wow, like
if that's your star player, I mean, like,
whereas like Drake and Josh has so many star players. Look at how many different memes there are of like solely Josh running over Oprah.
yeah,
Like there's
that's
literally
it's
like
like it's
there's
it's
them doing the there's them doing the like looking back like which one of my favorite ones of that is like Mario Kart. They're both they're in the Mario Kart. They look back and there's a blue shell like and there's like but there's a lot of memes of that shot. There's a lot of memes of the shot of him actually running the person over like and like replacing Oprah with like somebody else or
yeah.
something else like there's so like of just that one thing let alone like or like yo what where's the door. Oh I drew it, I drew it. Oh yeah yeah.
There's so many memes of that one, bro.
There's
There's like
so many
there's
memes of that one.
probably my favorite one is like the Easter one. We were talking about this earlier. The Easter
Yeah
one where it's like the empty tomb and the two Roman guards. Drake, where's the body of Christ?
yeah. Drink this money, Chris.
Or like I don't know, Drake, where's the door? Bush and Dick Cheney discussing the Iraq War.
Yeah, there's so many good like screenshots that could be memes. There are so many great scenes. The show is so incredibly quotable. I repeat words for emphasis. Emphasis. And then like the slight jokes, like the big, like one of the big systems during that time period was the GameCube. So what do? The Game Sphere. It's spherical. Spherical. Like like they play off of like humor so well. Like cuz like they were memeing about the GameCube, but like you don't need that reference to understand that they're doing that cuz like it's just a console and he's making fun of that it's a circle. But like just knowing that it's making fun of them making fun of like the Nintendo GameCube is just like a deeper meaning to the joke.
Yes, because the joke, yeah, yeah, the joke's funny on its own, and it's just like, oh, this is
It's a parody on
yeah, because
like a real
we
life
can't pay
like
off
product.
Nintendo.
Yeah. So it's a parody off of a real life product. So it's like which is great. And then they use N64 controllers to play it. they use
Oh yeah, I
they
forgot about
use
that.
the wireless N64 controller to
Dude,
play.
it was a cheap prop, bro. I mean, N64 was like 10 years outdated when they made the show. Like, cheap prop.
Yeah, good. Just funny. And then yeah, so I don't know. There's so many things that live up, and then it's what's also really sad about. I guess well, it's sad, but also like props to them for making such a iconic show, and it's only 4 seasons long. Like we talk about how like man, there's Breaking Bad only being 5 seasons long and it being absolutely incredible. Drake and Josh is literally 1 season shorter with probably less episodes than Breaking Bad. Well, maybe not less episodes, but I would say less um like actual like minutes worth.
Runtime.
Yeah, less runtime than Breaking Bad and and it's just as iconic as Breaking Bad is for different reasons, but like it's still like in the iconic form. Drake and Josh is still a huge iconic
I wouldn't say it's
scene.
like I mean it's iconic, but it's not because like I mean part of the one of the main reasons we are doing this podcast is because like people don't talk about it enough, you know.
Well, okay, like yeah, yeah, I guess you're right. I guess it's iconic for me. I guess I'd say nostalgic. I guess that's probably the better term. It's more it's such a nostalgic show for people to watch and everything. Um, so and obviously even during that like era of reality TV shows or sitcoms for Nickelodeon, it obviously was like the most popular one because you had Zoe 101, um, yeah, you had Zoe 101, iCarly afterwards, but there was another
Victorious.
yeah, that took place afterwards though. I'm talking about like during that era, during that aired
I'm
at
trying to
the
think what
same
you're talking.
time.
Yeah, I know. I remember there being another one, but I don't remember what it was. 'Cause it
Amanda,
wasn't one
the
that.
Amanda Show. The
Uh,
Amanda Show was one. The Amanda
yeah,
Show was one. Um. Oh, was the Burger Show.
Keenan and Kel.
Yeah, yeah. Was that airing around the same time or was that
That was like
before?
a couple years before Drake and Josh.
Okay,
Which
okay.
I mean, I feel like a good amount of the humor, like setups for the humor that is in Drake and Josh, comes from Keenan and Kel in a lot of ways because it's like they're not brothers, but they're two best friends.
Yeah.
One of them is like smart, and the one is like pretty dumb. You know what I mean? Like always, and they're like always scheming to do like this or that thing. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's not the same exact humor because they're not the same exact characters, but there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and Kenan and Kel was popular, but I also wonder if maybe like it just didn't come out at like quite the right time to be as popular as Drake and Josh. You know what I mean? Like,
I can agree. I actually I think that show might be I'm curious on how that show would meet to today's standards with I think fast food is more popular than it was before. Um Simply because like everybody has access to fast food places whereas like when you were a kid, you didn't really have access to like a fast food joint. You had to get a ride. Whereas like nowadays, like it's super easy to get a ride, or you can literally order off your phone and get it shipped to your house. Now obviously that doesn't have the same effect, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I personally think that like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong with that. I know the main like thing was the restaurant though with that show. So
yeah, yeah,
it's like so like I think that might, and I know it was based off of their working conditions. So that I guess that's what I'm going for is that the working conditions based upon how people work today. I'm curious on how that would
yeah. I can't give that good of a commentary on it because I know I watched it whenever I was a kid, but I watched it like
in
so young that I don't really remember a lot of it.
same
Like I remember that thought it was funny. I don't really remember like
why
the
though.
bits though. I just remember
Yeah,
the one.
same.
I just remember Kel really liked orange soda, and that was like a whole thing.
Yeah, yeah. That's the same goes with me. So that's there's another show I would think would there's a lot of shows that I think deserve at least like to be talked about and to be looked at. Which I guess that I can like we can sort of transition to is like Drake and Josh is this show that like really isn't talked about. It's more referenced and used for memes and for good reason. I'm not playing like I know that it's nothing against the show. I love the memes. It's just that like why don't people bring up and I know I've fallen for this too. Like when I say like my favorite sitcoms, I rarely bring up Drake and Josh and I don't know why. Because Drake and Josh, I think now after having this conversation and rewatching it, I think Drake and Josh deserves to be in the top sitcoms. So
Not gonna lie, when you said the top sitcom, I thought you were talking about Seinfeld, and I was about to not come downstairs.
Oh no, you
it
missed
was
that
Drake
conversation.
and
You
Josh.
missed that part of the conversation.
Good.
Uh, why do you think that is that you don't like list it in your top choices,
Well,
or
I
do you
mean, I
think?
will now. Why I didn't before? Um, I I I I guess because. I don't really have I, I don't really have like a reason for that. Like, I mean, I'm sure if we were to ask like anybody, like what their favorite sitcoms are, and then ask them, "Did you watch Drake and Josh?" They would be like, "Oh shoot, I'm gonna have to change my list." You know how
Yeah.
many of them would be like, "Oh shoot, I'm gonna have to change
I
my
mean,
list."
I have had
I think
experiences like that
I
where
think
people
I,
have said that.
yeah, I think the biggest, to me, I think the biggest thing is that it's never had a true like re-release. It's I think that's the biggest thing.
Do you think part
Like
of it is
people,
also the fact
like
that it
the fact that like you can that like in order to get a DVD set, you have to buy each individual season, and the like season one alone is $55. Like what? Like why is it that difficult? Like to get Drake and Josh. Like it shouldn't be that difficult for how popular of an IP it is.
But is it that difficult since you have it streaming on Hulu?
They don't have all the episodes. They have 2 episodes from season 1 and half the episodes from season 2. And then they
That's
don't
fucking stupid.
it is,
yes.
and also they don't advertise it very well. Hulu is not.
Like you didn't
Hulu
know it
doesn't
was on
push it.
Hulu.
Yeah,
Like for
like
just as an example, you didn't know it was on Hulu until we were watching it.
I mean, we've had Hulu for like a year. I mean, I've known that it was on Hulu since like freshman year of college, but I just like didn't feel like sitting down and watching it.
I feel like it's kind of like it's this. I feel like it's the same thing with Seinfeld. Look back 10 years ago. You try to find a Seinfeld DVD in a Blockbuster, it's like fucking $50.
No.
Some shit. Seinfeld. Oh, dude, I've seen
10 years ago, though.
Oh,
I've
10
seen
years ago.
Seinfeld
10 years
I've
ago.
seen Seinfeld season DVDs go for like at least $60.
Oh, okay, cuz like
It's
you
just-
can get the box set of all
It's-
9 seasons for like $20.
This was like 10 years ago. Maybe
Okay,
like 2
okay.
or 3 years after Seinfeld ended.
Okay.
So like it's the same thing with Drake and Josh. Like now,
Would-
granted, Seinfeld's been out for over for 20 years now.
Well, Drake and Josh is reaching 20 years.
It's
I feel like I don't know though. I feel
Let's see,
like,
Drake and
you only get-
Josh.
it's 04 to 07, so yeah, it's like it's past 15 years.
It's past, yeah.
It's getting closer to 20, yeah.
I would hope that I guess the hope would be that if we reach the 20th anniversary, that maybe they would release something for the 20th anniversary. But like, why haven't they done that yet? And I brought this up to them. So Drake and Josh on Hulu, right, is in 4:3 ratio. Okay, even though they filmed it with a widescreen camera. Seinfeld did the same thing. They filmed it with a widescreen camera, but when it originally aired, it was 4:3 because that was a majority of the audience. But when you turn on Seinfeld on Hulu, widescreen now, because that's how they originally filmed it. So all they did was just have to go back, get the stuff, and put
But
it
do
up.
you think they also have the entirety of Seinfeld? And Seinfeld's been on Hulu pretty much since the day Hulu fucking started. I'm pretty sure Drake and Josh is like newer onto. I know I didn't know it, but I'm pretty sure I heard
He said
somebody saying that like
he
it
said
came up like recently.
no. He
It's
said
been on
freshman
there
year of high
since
school,
at least freshman year of college, yeah.
That's what, yeah.
So, at least 4 years.
I mean, let's also take the. Let's take. I feel like I understand it because let's take the audience of Seinfeld and the audience of Drake and Josh. Drake and Josh, you just have a bunch of stupid kids that couldn't give two flying fucks about the aspect ratio or any of that kind of shit. Let's take Seinfeld. Their audience is a lot more intuitive. They're a lot more focused on the show. They're a lot more focused on more aspects of the show rather than just two stupid brothers. I love Drake and Josh more than anything. I will take Drake and Josh over Seinfeld any day. But Seinfeld has a reputation and has the latency and the longevity to have more work put into it than Drake and Josh does.
Okay.
Seinfeld had what, like 10 seasons? Drake and Josh had like what, 5?
4.
6?
4.
Yeah, they haven't been around that long. One, they were a strictly Nickelodeon show. Seinfeld was fucking on like 4 different channels, on like 4 different things. So Seinfeld, I feel like this makes sense. I feel like Drake and Josh, at the current moment, aren't big enough to. They're big, but they're not big with a wide enough audience to really focus on them. They want to focus on the shows that are going to get more people watching. And I hate to say this, more people on Hulu are going to watch Seinfeld than Drake and Josh.
See, to me, I blame Nickelodeon mainly because to me, this is all on Nickelodeon for not, like, not knowing how to release their products
Well, they
properly
could. That's but them
outside of SpongeBob
but
and
releasing
Avatar.
it on Hulu is not their decision.
No, yeah, it is.
Not what they can release. They can sign over Drake and Josh to Hulu, but Hulu is the one who decides what gets released.
I mean, yes, but it's Nickelodeon's power whether or not to give them a widescreen ratio and things like
And
that.
that's Nickelodeon. And yes, that is
I
Nickelodeon's fault.
and I'm saying like why. So my thing, the whole thing that I was getting at, or what I was starting out before, is why hasn't the show had like a box set of all of the seasons literally doesn't exist.
Well, but believe it or
Like
not,
like Nickelodeon never released a box set ever.
no, and they never will.
Yeah,
I
I'm
really
saying
don't think
that's
they ever will.
no, they won't. Like they won't. The only thing they've ever done was SpongeBob and Avatar, and that's the only things they've done.
It's because I mean, Drake and okay, listen, Drake and Josh was a great show. It really was. It will never, in any sense of the means, live up to Avatar and SpongeBob. It will never become the. It will never
Well,
become as popular.
okay, but
as
then
Avatar and SpongeBob.
why can you find box sets of like Lizzie McGuire, High School Musical, like the Disney shows? Like Disney shows, you can
Because-
find it for Zack and Cody. You can find it for Zack and Cody. I'm blaming Nickelodeon
Because Disney's
popularity wise.
martyr
is
with their
like,
money.
I think popularity wise isn't the fact of like Nickelodeon doesn't know how to like release their products to the mass audiences outside of airing it on
Oh
TV.
no, they do. Drake and Josh, look at the statistics. Seriously, look it up on the internet. Look at the statistics. Drake and Josh is one of the lowest rated shows. It's extremely popular, but it's compared to Avatar, compared to SpongeBob, compared to iCarly, compared to Lizzie McGuire, compared to even Stevens, it is their lowest rated show.
I mean, Lizzie McGuire even sees with Disney Channel, but
Either way, Nickelodeon.
Drake and
Though,
I mean,
out of all the shows that exist in Nickelodeon, Drake and Josh is their lowest rated show. So
let's see.
I'm
Like,
pretty sure that's what I read. 'Cause
on IMDb it's a 7.7, and iCarly's a 6.6. Ned's declassified 7.3. Zoe 6.0. Victorious 6.9.
yeah. So actually, it's
Sweet
their
Life of Zack and
highest.
Cody is 6.5. And if you don't, and those are just like the live action, the acted non-cartoon shows that
Yeah,
that
there's Narrow
Nickelodeon
Knits,
had.
the Classified School Survival Guide. Why doesn't that have any box sets
It,
either?
I mean,
I'm
fuck,
blaming.
it's more highly rated than Fairly Odd Parents and Jimmy Neutron.
Which
So like,
which Fairly Odd
which
Parents doesn't have any, but doesn't have any box sets either.
like it's
I'm
not really a
saying,
matter
like-
of like it's not really a matter of like
Popularity.
popularity or like whatever. Like releasing DVDs is easy money for a company.
Yeah.
It's so cheap to make a DVD. It's so cheap to make a lot of them. You get you're pretty much guaranteed a profit.
Yeah.
And it's like why haven't you done that?
Oh,
And it's like
I-
a 7.7 out of 10 is
I
still
think-
not a high rating.
I mean, I feel like the
In
reason
the-
they didn't do it is because, I mean, let's be honest. I actually think they just waited too long. Let's take a look at where
That's-
Nickelodeon's at nowadays. They waited way too long. I think the reason they're not doing it now is because literally look at their stock and shit. I'm pretty sure Nickelodeon is on a complete fucking downturn right now.
Okay, that might be. I'm
That's
just
probably
saying,
why they're
like,
not releasing
in
it,
my,
because
but
it's gonna be money that they're gonna have to spend.
but
to
it's
turn on
not like a
Nickelodeon back.
current thing. I'm not talking about like a current thing. It's always been a thing with
Yeah.
Nickelodeon. Like this. I'm not saying
And-
like nowadays. Like why doesn't Nickelodeon do it? No, Nickelodeon has never done it. Because even if they did do it, that means like back when the show ended, they would have at least like back in 07, 08, they would have released a box set of all of them. But it doesn't exist. There is no box
Yeah.
set of it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so even when the show was airing at its, probably its highest popularity, they never released a box set. Like, come on, like, what the heck? And that goes for like all their TV shows except for SpongeBob and Avatar.
I mean, also like, albeit a 7 point.
Drake and Josh, Suddenly Brothers Volume 1 on
No,
Amazon.
Volume 1, it's only season 1. And look at the thing. It only says 4 episodes. Season 1 was 6 episodes.
And look at the price tag.
Yeah, and then look at the price tag. It's $55.
No one's gonna spend that for 6 episodes of
4
a
episodes.
4 episodes of a
4
20
episodes.
of a 20-minute show. Also, like, albeit a 7.7 out of 10 is not that high in the grand scheme of film ratings, but like, if you look at individual episodes, most of them are rated over 8, and then the last season, a good, not the majority, but a good chunk are rated over 9. And if you consider like a 7.7 versus, I already mentioned a bunch of other shows, live action and cartoon, that it was high, that were like in the 6 range. If you think about every other, like those are just like the noteworthy shows from that time period, like Jimmy Neutron and That So Raven. Like if you think about like all the other weird little shows that got maybe 2 seasons that Disney has made,
Yeah, yeah.
like El Tigre,
Oh yeah.
like
Oh,
all
Nacho
those
Libre. Nacho
not
Libre.
yeah, all those random ass cartoons that Nickelodeon produced
Mm.
in that same time period that I can't even remember all of them because like
Yeah, there's a lot.
and since Drake and Josh, you know,
Nickelodeon nowadays.
Mm.
Sci-fi cartoons.
fair
They
the
can do like
the
a
sci-fi
1
channel of
2 season
cartoons.
show in like 2 months and then be done.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean stuff like Mr. Media, like they were just like
They just
like
produce so much content and
produce.
hope that another SpongeBob will appear.
Oh, dude,
That's
no matter what they make in the next however many years they're around, they're never gonna go top SpongeBob.
Oh
But
no, but
it's
that's what their hope is. That's what their hope is.
but
Their
it's been
hope is to
16
get
years
another
since
SpongeBob.
season 1 of Drake and Josh, and like
Nothing.
it's still one of their more highly rated shows from the time.
Yeah.
Not even considering that it's still their highest rated show from the time period. Not even considering how many other like random ass
Yo,
cartoons they made.
yo, fun fact. You want to know what Nickelodeon's greatest failure is? They were they were offered the people that made Adventure Time. They went to Nickelodeon before Cartoon Network, and Nickelodeon was like, nah, we're good. Literally, Adventure Time is probably one of the like biggest. It was bigger than regular show. You know, it was.
Yeah, I don't know why. I never
Oh,
It
thought
was
Adventure Time was funny.
Adventure Time is Cartoon Network SpongeBob.
It's
so I just looked up the biggest like Nickelodeon failures. Literally, the first one that pops up is the lack of Nickelodeon DVDs.
Like they don't know how to produce their products. Like they don't
know how
know
to distribute.
like, distribute their product. Yeah, not produce. They don't know how to distribute their products. It's such like come on, dude. Like and that's the thing. It's not like Ethan was saying. It's not hard to
it's
do.
not hard, but
and
also
it's cheap. It's cheap.
something that you were mentioning that I kind of like scratched the surface of. Like our generation is probably, I would say, the most like nostalgia addicted of any generation, and like
Yeah.
I mean Stranger Things is 100% predicated on nostalgia. Show like remaking every fucking Disney cartoon from the 90s as a live action, nostalgia. Fucking remaking everything that was good once, nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
Our age group loves nostalgia, loves like feeling like they felt when they were kids, and there's reasons we could get into for that if you want to. I don't know. I mean, we could get into those. Not really sure if we want to go there tonight, but like, it's well established that our age group is wants to have old things back, and to just like kind of ignore that pretty like easy money, you know what I'm saying? Like if they 2 3 years ago, or even today with the right advertising, if they were like, maybe not with Hulu having
Bro.
streaming, but before streaming was big, if they
Well-
had re-released like Drake and Josh, or like been
Bro,
like whatever
who-
the fuck, people would buy that shit.
Well,
You know?
here's the thing. Here's the thing. You're talking like if they just make a simple advertisement for Drake and like I'm like whatever shows, whatever like late 90s, early 2000s, even like I would even say through like up to the 2010s or even slightly into the 2010s, right? Whatever live action shows that they release, whatever is on Hulu, make a quick advertisement. Boom. Make a
They
quick
should be pressing it,
advertisement
dude.
and blow it up. Blow it up on Twitter, Instagram, everything. And bam, because guess what everyone's doing? Watching shows on streaming services. I bet Hulu's popping off more than it did before. There's probably people who have all the streaming services right now because they have nothing better to do with their day.
Yeah.
Like this is your biggest opportunity. Like whatever shows you have on whatever streaming services, make advertisements for each streaming service, advertising those shows, and boom, and then and there you go, there you go. Like you're set. You're set. You could advertise that like all like you. Who knows? Maybe you can put together with like giving, giving Hulu like all of the episodes instead of just like 3/4 of the episodes of Drake and Josh. Like maybe actually give them all of them. You know?
I mean, hell, to that point, like Netflix did just get the rights to Avatar, and it's coming out like later this week.
Oh, is it
Like,
like
I think
wait
it comes
like
out
the
tomorrow, dude.
Last Airbender?
Yeah, dude.
Hmm.
No, it comes out like this weekend. I
Oh,
think
okay.
that May 16th or 15th.
Hmm. I mean, I have it, but okay, that's interesting.
But yeah, I mean,
So,
what I was gonna say is that part of the reason that people don't bring it up in their like list of top comedies, part of it is like, yeah, they kind of forget to mention it. It's like, not that the show in and of itself is forgettable, but like people forgot they liked it, you know?
well,
And
I mean,
well,
like, is it really their fault that people forgot they liked it when it's not even being aired on television anymore? Like,
being
what,
reminded of it, yeah.
uh, like, like, here's the thing, like, people remember Friends, and, like, I'm not saying, but, like, people remember Friends, people remember Seinfeld. It's still aired on, like, those shows are still on TV to this fucking day.
And those are also shows that
I
are
know they're, like, you could say that they're more popular, but, like, it's an unfair advantage when they're being shown on TV. Like bro, the original episodes of SpongeBob are still on TV today. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like if those episodes, like
Well, what I was gonna say is all those shows are geared for an adult audience, and people watch them as adults. And it's like, not only is it easier to remember things from your adulthood than it is from your childhood, but also it being well, there's a third thing that I'll say is that like when you have 10 seasons of Seinfeld, you spend a lot more time watching it because you have to takes time to get through all that.
that's true,
Whereas
that's true.
only 4 seasons of Drake and Josh, you could watch that. You could easily do that, pull that off in a week.
Yeah. Oh
Um,
yeah, easily.
uh, and so it's like, oh, this like smaller thing was a part of my what I watched. But the other thing I'll say is like I feel like people are maybe subconsciously afraid to admit that they enjoy something that's char- uh, a target audience for kids.
Outside of like SpongeBob,
Yeah,
is that like
I mean, but even SpongeBob, like, no one's gonna. When you say what's your favorite TV show, like, very few people are actually gonna say SpongeBob.
oh,
They'll get
you know
stoned and
what? You
watch it, but
know
they're not gonna
what?
say, "Oh, SpongeBob is in my top five."
I guess you're right.
You know,
Yeah.
whereas like quality wise, I think Drake and
Because
Josh
the same
believes
actually with
deserves to
that
be in the top
that
five.
argument actually is the same with like Avatar. Because people will talk about how much they love Avatar, but they never will put it in their like, oh yeah, it's like my favorite show of all time. Like people will never put it there.
Yeah,
Even though if someone were to tell me that their favorite show of all time was Avatar, I wouldn't put it past them. I would be like, you know what? Like
I mean it's
that's incredible. You know what? Yeah,
I mean,
like I've
it's not the hardest hitting the dramatic. There's other shows that have harder drama to them, but it
you're
checks.
but if you're
But like
enjoying that show, obviously you like the